everyone's going to find out about this. My goal isn't just that my wife ends up being cured of a brain cancer, which is the type of cancer she has. The prognosis is 6 to 12 months. Um, but it's not that she just ends up being okay. It's that we pave the way for other people, and not just with brain tumors, with any type of cancer, because there are answers to these things, but they're not coming to you. It takes people like many of us in this room who are prepared to step outside of the box. And I just want to take a moment once again for, honestly, whether you've supported us financially or even just supported us, emotionally, energetically, it really matters. It really does make a difference to me. It makes a difference to my wife. And I will continue to share the journey as it unfolds over the next few weeks and months. So thank you to all of you. I really can't put into words how grateful I am, but that really is a big win of the week. So thank you, James, and thank you, Paul and Ashley and everybody else here.
Awesome stuff. That has got to be the most important win that we've had of the week so far, and we continue to support Hannah in any way we can and wish you guys well and send good vibes and prayers if you're that way inclined and all that good stuff. And yeah, it's really interesting. Peter sent me a message yesterday. He said just the difference between, say, the German clinic. Obviously, everyone's doing the best with what they've got, but the German clinic is about improving your wellness, and the UK clinics tend to focus on sickness. And it's just a very different mentality. So yeah, good on you for paving the way for alternative options for people out there, my man. We as I say, we send you all the very best that we can, collectively sending you good vibes in your direction. Right, Iffy, what's your win of the week? Oh, your win of the week is going to be coming up later on, isn't it?
Good morning. Happy Friday. Yes, well, I suppose I want to forfeit my win of the week to actually ask Pete a question, because like after his share, I think that's a blooming win, isn't it? Would I be able to ask Pete a question for his win rather than share a win? Because I want to leave us with Pete's win, if that's okay.
Go on, why not?
So Pete, has there ever been any moments of doubt for you? And if there has, how have you managed to keep going? Trying to raise all that money is such a large amount, as well as the emotional overwhelm of, trying to save your wife and everything. What advice would you give to us for, this situation is going to show up in our lives at some point if we look at it statistically? How have you kept going?
Well, it was horrendous for maybe 6 weeks. I couldn't sleep. I was sweating through the night, and the worst outcomes in my mind. That's all I could think about. I could only think about, her not being here and all of those horrendous things. But that's because I didn't know what we were going to do, and it was only when we decided what we were going to do, when I could spend weeks looking into it and speaking to people, and realizing, okay, this is the best thing that we can do. Everything's been so much better when there's something to look forwards to. And that's what I preach anyway. So I feel like it's one of my biggest tests ever. If I'm going to help people decide a future they want to create, and that's what my passion is, I feel like this is my biggest test, Iffy. And it's such an interesting story, because I never thought I'd have to go through this again. But I suppose in answer to your question, it's just having hope, and then all of the support of people that have got behind what we're doing. My wife is inspired by that. She knows that she's not alone. So it's all about hope for me at the end of the day. So, and hope, really the science of hope is when you see something beyond the circumstances that you find yourself in. But I felt hopeless for a few weeks. But thank you for asking the question, Iffy. I appreciate you so much, as you well know. Thank you.
And oh, I think my mic was muted. Sorry. You've got a big event coming up as well, haven't you, Pete? Are you telling people about that yet, or is it a under wraps top secret?
No, we have an evening with Ronnie O'Sullivan on the 22nd of July, 7-time snooker world champion. Everyone is welcome. It's on a Friday evening. I mean, I know a lot of people are fans of Ronnie. I worked with him for 2 years of my life. He's someone who he's such an interesting character. He's a serial entrepreneur, serial business owner. So if anyone wants to know, sorry, I've got poor connection. If anyone wants to know anything about that, then feel free just to reach out to me. The tickets are £50, but all of the money is going to support Hannah. So I'd love to see anyone who wants to come. It'll be a great night. I can absolutely guarantee that. So thank you.
And is Ronnie for the event? Is Ronnie going to be like? Is he going to be doing like a keynote or something like that?
Yeah, he's going to. Yeah, no, absolutely. He's really up for it. He likes to be interviewed. He doesn't like to just to speak. He likes to bounce off. But he's such an interesting. Honestly, he's such an interesting guy, and I don't know if people are a fan of him, but his story. His dad committed murder when Ronnie was 14 years old. He's been addicted to drugs and alcohol, but he now is the 7-time snooker world champion, and he's a really interesting person to learn from. And I promise you, that night you'll definitely have fun and learn something that could change the course of your life. So, yeah, I know, James. I think hopefully you're going to be able to come. But like I said, anyone is welcome. Just reach out to me, and I'll give you a link for the event. So thank you for letting me talk about that.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it a lot more when there's more sort of details a bit closer to the time, and see how many people from the Winners Club family we can get there as well. So are you going to actually interview him then? So you could, because you obviously know him really, really well, because you coached him for years as he was sort of growing through and going through becoming the world champion. So are you actually going to do like a Q&A with him?
Yes. Yeah, no, definitely.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
We're going to give people an opportunity to ask him questions. He's made a lot of money in property. He's made money in doing other things, but he wears his heart on his sleeve. He really talks from the heart in terms of his own journey and what he feels it takes. And he loves to be around real people. He hates all of that kind of celebrity nonsense. He comes alive because he's a real people person, So yeah, I'm really thankful that he's because brain tumors is something that he's very passionate about. A really good friend of his is really on his way out, and Ronnie's seen the deterioration. And Ronnie knows my wife very well as well, so he's like, Pete, whatever it takes, however I can help, I'll do whatever I can. So he's giving his time. He's going to bring the trophy as well, the Snooker World Championship trophy. So yeah, look, I'm sure it'll be a great event, and Hannah hopefully will be there as well. So yeah, thanks, James.
Awesome stuff. How lovely would it be for us to get to meet Hannah? Awkward night for her when the attention is like your wedding day. Like some people don't actually like the focus and the attention, but unfortunately she's going to get it that night. Yes, we will put. Nichelle's asking if we can put the link at the top of the room. I'm not sure where the link goes to, so we'll do a whole separate room. We'll try and get Pete actually into the studio, and we'll do a whole room around this, and we'll post it.
Maybe even get Ronnie to come into the studio. You never know. That it is possible because it's not a million miles away from where he lives, right? As Paul and Ashley know, he's an Essex boy, isn't he? You know what I mean? Baby and all that. All right.
He lives around the corner from you, didn't he?
Just lives a little bit around the corner from me. Yes.
Up the hill where the posher people live. Is he one of them ones?
That's one of the name drops that I could have said lives near me.
Yeah.
When we was dropping names earlier. Forgot about that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let's try and make that happen. Let's get Ronnie into the studio before, and we'll promote the hell out of that event as well. That's going to be a fantastic night. 22nd of July, pop Pete a DM if you want more information about it. I appreciate he's probably got lots and lots of things going on right now, but I think there's a few people helping to support the event and sort of organise bits and pieces for him. So if you want to find out more, pop Pete a DM. And yes, you can find out more information there. I'm just going to quickly go back to... lovely that Iffy didn't want to use her win of the week for self-serving purposes. She wanted to ask a question instead, which I thought was lovely. But she has got a great win of the week. Iffy today becomes a radio presenter for the first time. So she's actually launching her radio show, Feel Good Friday. And it's on Revolution Radio in Northampton. You can listen online, listen nearby on FM. I think it's 96.1. I only know that because we've done the jingles and stuff for her. So yeah, looking forward to hearing Iffy go live. I think it's probably streamed live on the internet as well. But yeah, if you're in the Northampton area, make sure you don't change that dial. 96.1 Revolution Radio. It's a proper good little station as well. So I'm really looking forward to hearing this as soon as possible.
And a big thanks to you, James, because obviously I'm new to doing all this stuff myself, and you were amazing. James, you and your team work so fast, and the good thing is, because I've been listening to you all this time, I trust you implicitly. So James basically sent over the sounds and what I could try out of 5 different sounds and jingles. They were all really good, and I remember listening in the car with it. So it was going really loud through the speakers, and I had my son and his friend.
They picked it, didn't they? They picked the song for you.
They picked it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So good. All of it's good, and the voiceover's good, and it's amazing. So big thank you to you, James, for making it so professional, because now I've got the intro, the outro, and then James had a really good idea to say that we should the Star should sponsor the radio show, which means that I'm also doing promoting the Star and sponsoring the radio show with my star. So it's really exciting. I'm really excited. Thanks so much, James. And yeah, tune in, guys.
My pleasure. What time are you on? What time are you on air?
I'm on air from 1 till 3, and it's Feel Good Friday. So basically, I'm going to be playing loads of really good songs, and we're going to be talking about things that make you feel good, and we're going to be talking about your wins of the week, and we're going to talk about the star of the week. So hopefully people will tune in and be able to really enjoy it. And also, James gave me a really good contact, a lady called Kate, and I had like a session with her, and she helped me to really understand how to communicate on radio. And one of the things she said, which was a big takeaway for anyone who wants to do this kind of thing, she says, don't act like you're talking to everybody, just talk to one person. And I was like, oh, she goes, it's awful when you're like, hi everyone. And I was like, oh, I probably was going to say that. So I learned a lot from her. Thanks, James.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, that's the number one lesson they used to teach you at radio school, was like talk in the singular as if you're talking to one person, because then it makes people have that. That's why people have got that weird sort of real affinity with audio and radios, because you feel it's a very intimate medium, because you're listening to people, you're talking to people in their head. So yeah, talk in the singular. But Kate Cocker, who's the presenter coach, she's fantastic. She's basically when they like have ex-footballers who go and work at TalkSport and places like that, she goes in and coaches them. So
is that the lady we met at the
podcast show? Yeah, yeah. So it's gonna be awesome. Just to let you know, guys. Just to quickly reset, we have our guest, I believe, is coming on at 8 o'clock now. So they're going to be tuning in from 8 o'clock. We have got Harry Horsfall from the Digital Collective and Web3 marketing agency Zebu. Also the creators of Zebu Live, and they're going to be coming in from 8 o'clock, which is very exciting, talking to them all about their Harry's history and heritage in the world of Web3. He's been sort of a consultant and expert in the Web3 world for about a decade, which is like, it's like dog years in Web3. So that is like it's the equivalent of having 1,000 years worth of knowledge, I think, if you've been in the game for 10 years. So he's going to be coming on at 8 o'clock. And just to quickly say as well, guys, keep an eye out on the. We are keeping an eye out on the chat. I can see there's some new people in there who haven't got many followers on their profile, DMing people, messaging, saying, "Hey, I've sent you a DM." Just be careful of any links that anybody gets sent you. I might have it completely misconstrued, but Idris Jr., I see you, my friend. I see that you're messaging people. Hopefully you're messaging him the right stuff. If you're not, guys, if you've had a message and it looks like spam or whatever, then please do feel free to let us know. We will block these people from the room. Remove them so they may never come back, because we're very protective of our gang and of our family here. If you want to come up and share your win of the week, by the way, you're more than welcome to do so. We'd love to hear some new voices, some new faces, and some new places. If you'd like to come up and share your win of the week. If you're new to Clubhouse, I can see there's lots of party hats with us this morning, which means that you guys are new. I can see Danilo. That's a cool name, isn't it? Danilo. Najib is in the room this morning for the first time. Idris, we won't be bringing you up, my friend, because you haven't got your profile linked to any other platforms. So we basically, if you want to come up on stage, you need to have either your Twitter or your Instagram linked up so that we can see that you're a real person. If you haven't got your programs, if you haven't got your profiles linked up, then we will not be bringing you up on stage. I can also see that we've got royalty in the house, supposedly, from the chairman of the Executive Council of Dubai and the Dubai Sports Council director, His Royal Highness Habdam bin Muhammad Al Muktam. But I can't see that profile is linked up to any official Instagram or Twitter. So again, we won't be bringing you up on stage, Your Highness, until we can verify that profile is correct. Because unfortunately, there are lots of bots and lots of spamming. Unfortunately, that happens in the DMs here on Clubhouse. So we just want to protect our community. We're fiercely protective. We're kind of like mother swans. That's the noise of a mother swan, by the way, in case you wanted to know. Right, give us a flash of the mic if you'd like to share. If you've got a win of the week, if you've learnt a great lesson this week, if something amazing has happened, maybe you connect with great people, maybe if you're a coach, consultant, mentor, expert, maybe you've had a client who's had a big win this week. If you'd like to share, please feel free to do so. Give us a flash of the old microphone and we'll come to you. Here she is. Shelley's out and about on the road, everybody. Go on, Shelley, what you got for us?
Oh, James, I feel really bad every time you introduce me because you're setting me up. Okay, so it's not a win of the week, but it's a really interesting share. So I met a couple of people who drive around, so they've got day jobs and they're business partners, and they drive around the country promoting conversations around mental health, and they drive a bus that's got people who've written graffiti on saying, I struggle with my mental health, whatever, and it's called the Battling Suicide Bus. So I met these two. They're quite high profile in what they do in their day job, but they just do this selflessly. And they started a really cool initiative around chess. And chess is kind of like, you can take metaphors from chess around living life, right? You know, you make the wrong move, you've got to sort of critically be able to critically think. If you turn the board round, you see something from a different perspective, all that sort of stuff. And what they've done is they've gone into prisons for young offenders, and they've created a flat magnetic sort of pop-out chessboard that's 5-a-side, and it's to start conversations around you know, it's that thing where you're doing something with your hands and then you start to sort of flow subconsciously with what's on your mind. So it's a really cool incentive, and what they're doing is they're recruiting wingmen or ambassadors inside the prisons. So these are chess coordinators that get other inmates together, and they've been inundated with letters from people in Belmarsh and Pentonville and all these sort of high profile prisons around the UK. You know, you can be an ambassador in any community. If you've got a business, if you want to create a conversation, start an event, or in your business network, in your parental network, you know, you can also
I can't hear Nichelle.
No, I think we've lost her. We've lost her to the ether, unfortunately. That was fantastic as well. That sounded really interesting. Nichelle, when you're back in better signal area, come back and tell us more, because you've got robot. That's my impression of Nichelle there. Right, gang, give us a flash of the mic. We've got about 5 more minutes until our illustrious guest comes on this morning. We've got Harry Horsfall from Zebu Digital, who's coming in this morning. Web3 marketing agency and digital collective. Their studio of talent has created over 1,000 assets. Where's my little thing? I downloaded something earlier. I got sent a press release thingamajiggy. Here you go. No, I've lost it again. God damn it. Right, I'm going to have to download it again. They've done some cool stuff. I'll do a proper intro in a minute, but they've got things like being involved in events like DeFi, the DeFi Live. They've got Zebu Live.
mind blowing. Oh, have you got me?
Wow, you came back and you just said mind blowing. We've lost you for about 30 seconds. We lost you for about a minute, and you just come back and said mind blowing. So I'm glad you blew your own mind, because you didn't blow no one else's.
Okay, so I'm holding the letter. Did you get me at that bit?
No, I got as far as Pentonville, and then it went esque.
Oh man. Okay, so
Start again. Let's just assume we don't know nothing about your week. Tell us again from the beginning. Sorry.
What, really? All the way back?
Well, from Pentonville then.
From Pentonville. Okay, fine. So Pentonville, they get these letters from prisoners saying they want to be ambassadors for the chess coordinators, right? So I'm holding this letter of this guy who's 63, and his handwriting is beautiful. His eloquence of you know, how he's written this letter and used the metaphors of life against chess and all that sort of stuff. And Diane says to me, you know who that is, don't you? And I'm looking at the name going, oh, that sounds familiar. And he's the longest incarcerated prisoner in the UK, over 38 years. And it's only the guy that's Hannibal Lecter was modelled on. And that's the mind blow bit. I was holding the letter going, holy shit, like that's just unreal. And I said, well, you know, why is he so high profile? You know, because he's been asked many times if he wants to get out of, you know, incarceration and just go and be on the wing with the other guys, and it's always been refused. Anyway, at 2, can you still hear me, James?
Yeah.
Hello. You can. Thanks, Iffy. At 2 years old, he was abused by his parents, right? So he was put into care, and then by the time he was 9, the system had changed, and the case notes and all of that had been moved around, and he was put up for adoption. And the people that went and adopted him were his parents again. So the system gave him back to his parents, who continued to abuse him from 9 to like 14, 15. At 15, he ran away, found himself on the streets, comes across this guy who says, hey, you know, little teenager, do you want to be my pimp? And starts showing him these photos of children that he wants him to recruit. And it flips a switch in him, and he murders this guy. So at 15, 16 or whatever he was, he actually goes into a police station and hands himself in. And he says, I've done something really bad, I've killed this guy, but he was about to hurt and abuse a whole load of other children. So he doesn't kill his parents that abused him. He kills the guy that is going to abuse other children. So he's like being a protector of, at 15, 16. But obviously he's committed murder. So that's why he's been incarcerated and dramatized the story because Hollywood wanted something a bit more edgy. So he isn't the kind of psycho that people make him out to be. But you just look at the injustice system and then you think, actually, at 15, 16, he was kind of a victim himself. Yet what we've done is we've locked him up and he's now 63. And I just think, there are so many things wrong with where we're at and what we do to people. But just holding that letter was just mind-blowing. So I just thought I'd share that. That was just an amazing experience this week.
So was it like a handwritten letter? So had he literally written that letter that you were holding?
No one heard me.
Yeah, I did. That was amazing.
Thanks.
Sorry, we're having an absolute tech nightmare this morning. I've unmuted. So that letter that you held, was it like a handwritten? So has his hand touched the same letter that you're holding?
Yes.
What?
Yes, that was what the goosebump moment.
So why is it so? Not to, obviously there's lots more other stuff around it. He's been kept in solitary for a long time, for example, that you said. But he's committed one crime at 16. He's now 63. Why is he still in jail?
Because I don't know whether the system sort of made him out to be the nutter he was, and then the movie came out and they go, oh, we can't release him now, can we? Because that's who it was modelled on. I don't know the specifics behind it, but it'd be a really good interview.
Clubhouse
not with
live.
him, obviously, but with the people that know. And it was interesting because there was a young psychiatrist that has been, like Clarissa, has been sort of, liaising with him. But the poor thing about that is that the psychiatrist wants him as a case study. And it's like, you don't mess with people's lives. You either relate, I don't know, I just find that really off. But I read the letter of the psychiatrist as well, and it was really, anyway, it's quite a granular kind of experience. But yeah, anyway, I'll shut up now. Thanks, James.
God, I've had some right good wins of the week this morning, haven't we? We've had some letters from incarcerated hardened criminals. We've had Chris has got a gig to build a spaceship. Captain Crypto made it almost on time. We've had a good solid start to Friday, haven't we?
I had my eyes opened up to the worlds of esports and gaming yesterday.
Oh, God. How was that?
Unbelievable.
Really?
Like literally, you was like, oh my God. Walking into like gaming venues at midday, and they're full of people playing adults playing computer games.
So this is a world that I don't understand. So where did you go? Did you go to one of those cafes, like a gamer cafe?
We went to a few of those just to give an insight into what's going on, and we went to a couple of offices of.
So I've literally walked you into
teams.
the world of this whole esports gaming world. You've literally sort of like physically been into the inner sanctum now.
Yeah, walked into like there's we hire meeting rooms.
Yeah,
there's rooms out there that are team training rooms that are just set up for professional esports teams to hire and train. And
the stuff you've been telling me about, I can't even fathom.
Picture this room, but just with a bank of 5 or 6 like desks with very high powered computers where people can play computer games. And then next door is a boardroom where they can go in and speak about the boardroom. There's like chill out room next to them, and there's benches.
They're treated like athletes. Then.
Yeah, they have a like a bank of 5 desks which are for the team. And then they'll have a coach's desk at the end to monitor stuff. Then they'll have a desk over the other side that's a performance analyst that's there, like picking up stats and analytics and stuff from people that are playing. And then there's a substitute desk as well, so that because they don't obviously have to move seats, so
like a subs bench.
Yeah, they just bring the sub on. They get injuries and stuff with their fingers and honestly, it's another. If you hadn't seen it, you would think I was making it up. But yeah, it's like they get.
So you've been in like teams and stuff as well. So
it's mad. Absolutely crazy. There's gaming hotels that exist in London where teams will come and stay, and there'll be training spaces and rooms, and they'll come and stay, and they'll get their food included, and they'll train, and they're trained for like a month before they play a tournament of some sort together.
I can't believe this. Maybe it's my age. I don't understand this world. Is it?
It's taken at the level that I saw. It's taken. The performance element of it is taken as like it's like
seriously as any other form of athleticism.
Yeah, top performing sports clubs. Yeah. It's Absolutely crazy. Oh, crazy world.
Wow.
But there's people, like I said, but in the gaming caf side of things, there's people at midday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon in gaming cafes in central London sitting there playing computer games, and they're full up all the time with people.
Has you got your
People coming in after work, and
has you got your brain ticking? You're thinking downstairs it's going to be like a gaming caf now. Workive gaming caf.
No, but it might be a team space for the team to come and train. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh.
We'll see what happens. But it
Watch
was a
this
very
space.
interesting day of being shown stuff.
What will happen when our guest eventually arrives? Will he pop up on your screen?
He will.
He will. He hasn't yet.
He hasn't yet.
Okay, yeah. I've just had a message from his executive assistant. They can't get hold of him at the moment, so we might do wins of the week all for the show. Or we could do a.
This is a common theme, isn't it? Because you've arranged a few guests that don't turn up.
Yeah, this is not my it's not my core competency.
So yeah. Anyway, do you know what? Yes, they proved to me. Sometimes you've got to. There's whole worlds of. Well, this is a whole sector and market that's huge that I didn't even have a clue existed. Well, I did. I guess I saw. You see some news articles and stuff like that, and you think, oh. We've all probably read a news article and everyone's like, oh, the world of gaming and esports is getting bigger and bigger and stuff like that. But, I think there's a game called League of Legends, yeah? And over 1 million people was watching the final live of this League of Legends championship.
Oh, you said in a lot of instances, isn't there a bigger audience for these
if you
for the World Cups of digital versions?
Yeah, if you combine streaming and like the way that world works with Twitch and like the streams, if you add up the total streams, it's ridiculous. Like they've got this team in particular, they've just brought on a couple of new players, or 3 or 4 new players into the team for one of the particular games, and just signed them, so the deal's been done and they're being paid and stuff like that. And combined, so these are guys that most people have never heard of, and they've got a combined social media following of real people that tune into Twitch streams of like 14 million people combined across them. It's like ridiculous.
Do you feel like an old man in those environments?
I definitely was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. The average age was about 20 years lower than me.
New world. Is it? Do you have to in that instance? Do you have to like take your old school sort of like business mentality hat off and go, actually, this is real? Because looking from the outside in, like even my mentality too, I'm like, what they're treated like athletes, what there's hotels, what there's actually like these venues for it. But obviously it's quite a serious.
No, do you know what? You know me well enough. I'm very curious. So whenever I see anything, I'm thinking, well, why they do that, or how do they make the money, or how is that structured, or what's going on there, what's like so no, because my I'll see something and then the brain's always ticking. It's always. Do you know the shops game?
Yes.
So they this just gives you a bit of context. So they obviously have long-term leases on shops all across the UK.
Yeah.
And then their modus operandi was that they'd take a 10-year lease on a premises or a shop.
They got into financial difficulty, didn't they?
Well, yeah, because obviously with the downturn, anybody that had retail premises that was taken on 10 years ago were probably paying premiums for it.
Yeah.
And they were big premises, a bit like it's a whole repetitive cycle of Blockbuster and HMV and stuff like that. Who realistically now, how many people go into a shop to buy a computer game?
Yeah.
Amazon's killed most of the world off in that respect, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
and most of it was streamed to their device straight away anyway.
Yeah. So it's a dying trade. So what they've started to do, a lot of them, is convert. So they came up with a brand called Belong, and they started to convert game shops into they don't call them gaming cafes, they call them gaming arenas. But do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of walking into an internet cafe 15 years ago.
Oh, okay.
You walk in, you literally go and sit in an internet cafe.
Yeah.
It was like that, but in the gaming world. So it's like they've almost reinvented the internet cafes into these like trendy places where people just go and sit and play computer games. But Belong, basically, because they started converting games into the actual shop game into what they call gaming arenas. And
I'm looking at it now. Where are you in the UK?
Team spaces and like spaces where people go and play. And people are sitting at these, so they cram desks. A desk has to, literally a workstation is the size of a monitor with a keyboard and a mouse. Okay, so in my world where we have serviced office desk spaces and you've got an average square meterage per person that you work on, like an industry rate, but they're literally cramming banks of desks in.
So like proper old school internet cafes.
Yeah, and literally you've got your size of your monitor, and so in gaming, like at home, I've got fortunate enough to have a home cinema, right? And so my kids play their computer game on the big screen. The screen comes down and they sit on the sofa in front of it and play computer games on that. But apparently the smaller the monitor, the better, because the refresh rate is important. So so you can see stuff moving quicker. So they play on small monitors about the size of this one that's here.
Oh, really?
It's like an optimum size for gaming. So they so each bank of desks has got this monitor on it, but they're literally crammed in. And so like these ones I went to see yesterday, people are sitting there paying £15 an hour to play games. And I'm looking at every desk is full at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm looking at them now. These are amazing looking spaces. So did you go to a Belong? Is that what you went to?
We went to a couple of, we went to a Belong. Yeah, a Belong and a few Side Quest was another one. But they're literally, and they've got cafes in them, and they're selling refreshments and drinks, and there's a brand of energy drink which I've got some samples of, which actually looks quite good, which is designed electrolyte based, so no sugar, electrolyte based or something like that. It's designed to keep your mind going strong. Which I've got. So there's like sub ecosystems almost, so to speak, or sub products being developed around gaming. So there's this brand of energy drinks called Beyond, which has been bought out specifically to target the gaming market.
No, really?
Yeah, it's huge. It's a huge market that most people don't even know exists.
Where did you go?
Because your kids play computer games. No, the Belong we went to was in
Stratford,
Westfield. Yeah,
home
Stratford.
of the Stratford Spartans, apparently.
Probably was. Yeah, may well have been.
This is so interesting. What? It's open. Yeah, it's literally open like 11 hours a day from 10 till 9.
Yeah. So they're turning retail shops into these spaces, these gaming spaces, and they're full. That space is doing about £500,000 of revenue from people hiring the gaming a year.
Just from the hire.
Just from the hire of that. That's
not including refreshments.
That's excluding refreshments and any sort of sub stuff that goes on. But just from the rental of the computer equipment, people sitting there playing games, about £500,000 a year. So it's crazy, crazy, crazy world.
So one in Stratford that you saw yesterday, there's 36 seats available. They've got 36 high-level PCs, 36 PlayStation 4 Pros, 6 PlayStation 5s, 36 Xbox One S's, GT Amiga chairs. You can... Oh, wow, yeah, pricing. You can 1 hour pay to play. It's £5. But that's... 1 hour off-peak place.
This is terrible audio, by the way.
1 hour couch co-op place. You can actually sit on a couch and like co-op play with other people.
Yeah, this will freak you out.
I didn't
want to go this deep with it, but there's a brand of gaming centers called Side Quest, which is comes across from Korea. So it's the Korean. This whole gaming
cafe
thing concept comes from Korea.
Right, gotcha.
Or China, Korea, Asia based. So at Side Quest, and this gives you an insight into the people that are a hell of a lot younger than us and what's to come from the future. They have dating pods in the gaming centers, right? So they have 2 desks, a small room.
No.
2 desks and 2 chairs next to each other with like a door that closes so you can't see what's going on in the room. And
so as a young teenager, instead of going, hey, do you want to go down the park and we'll have a little feel up at the back of the park, you want to go and have a little gamer?
Yeah.
Have a little game up.
They're called Duopods.
No, they're not.
They are called Duopods. But there was not just like one. There was like 5 of these in this one centre.
Were they being used? Did you see people dating in the pod?
Well, you couldn't, but you knew that people were in there because the room was in use, yeah.
No, this is just too much.
Crazy.
Because your kids are like gamer, right? Are they a bit young for games? So the guys,
no, my
your oldest one.
They play leisurely. Like, not this. My oldest one's too old now because she's missed that. She's missed that. The younger 2 play various games. Yeah, my son plays FIFA.
They're more like sporty. They got any pals that are like proper into it? Do they? Can you see signs of that they're really?
They watch it, but no, my son Jude will watch streaming. He'll watch gamers playing games on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that's where.
My nephew does it. I don't get it.
But exactly that we don't get. We've missed it, but it's a world that exists. Like that, people are that meeting in that gaming world. People are meeting in their games. So this whole concept of a metaverse, these games are metaverses, and people are meeting in those metaverses, and that's how they're not going up to somebody in a bar and How you doing? Can I buy you a drink? They're standing there wearing virtual armor in a
like your
metaverse,
sword.
having a chat with
Your
somebody.
nunchucks look lovely.
Yeah, crazy. Honestly, it's. And then we went to this VR place, which I'm going to take you to. Actually, it was really good. So these are VR pods. So you turn up, and so this was a place in Hackney, and they're VR pods, and you can go and hire these VR pods, and you turn up. But they've actually got like Call of Duty. You know the game Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I don't play it, but I would be quite interested in doing that. They literally give you a gun, and you're wearing VR. It's 4D, so if you're in the sun, infrared lights are shining on you to make you hot. If you go into like a winter zone, the air conditioning comes on to make it freezing cold. And you're literally cocking the gun to play the game, and like in your little VR pods.
Oh my God, the
people
future.
screaming in there. It was a,
really.
Yeah, it was a like a but that. So there's a certain generation of people that's just like normal.
That's
now.
normal, yeah, of course.
And every one of these venues we went to was full. Like we went to this VR place. So what was yesterday? A Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
We went to this VR place, and I was like, "Oh, can I have a go?" And they was like, "We're fully booked. We're fully booked every day for the next 2 weeks." I have 15 VR pods in a railway arch underneath railway arches in Hackney that would have only been used previously for storage for a building company or something along those lines. Like it had these round silo pods that people are just standing in doing VR during the day. Mad.
It's
Crazy.
not like a half term or anything at the moment,
No,
either,
it's
is it? It's like
nothing.
a normal.
Nothing.
Wow. The new world. The new world. Are you sold on it then? Are you sold? Are you in?
I went home last night and I was like, I feel like I've gone to the future. 10 years, come back and then just come back home. Like what the hell has happened to me? I'm walking through Westfield Stratford, like in the normal life, looking at the Hugo Boss shop and various bits and pieces. And then you go in next door and there's this gaming centre of people playing computer games. And it's like, that's their life. It's like, wow. I feel like I've just gone fast forward. Not that I'm saying it's a good future, by the way, because there's lots of other issues, I'm sure. But people are turning up to go and you could see as we was visiting different places, and it become after school time. People are like going after school and just showing up after school in school uniforms and stuff, and they've got annual membership cards and stuff like that. And the one of those belongs. They have £1,000 membership. Okay, so they have like an annual membership pass, and the numbers of people that have bought it. I can't remember off the top of my head. I was like mind blown, but like, wow, that many people have paid £1,000 for a membership. You think the average demographic, so the age of the people going into these centres is between 16 and 22. That's what they were sort of saying is like an average time. So if you put that in context to like a private members club, you would class somewhere like a Soho House or somewhere like that as probably the higher upper end of like a membership club.
Yeah.
And people are paying people between the age of 15 and 22 are paying similar money to what we would pay to join a really high-end members club to go into a small room, to get access to go into a small room to play gaming.
Play games. Madness. Madness. The future. Paul has visited the future. If you want to know what happens in 20 years, Paul has been there and visited. Right, let's do a quick.
Take you to the VR.
Yeah, I'd love to go there. To be fair,
to the VR place.
Let's have a little jingle reset, and then we'll come back after this.
You've got to like brief me about that because the screen was on a different.
Oh,
screen.
sorry. Well, consider yourself briefed. I would like to do it in 5, 4.
Are we going to assume
2?
that it's 16 minutes past?
Just
8.
hit the jingle.
There's no guest coming.
We'll talk about this in the jingle.
Good night, guest.
You are listening to Breakfast with Winners. Exclusive content direct from the Winners Club. If you are enjoying the conversation, click on the green Monopoly house at the top of the screen right now and join the thousands of winners already in our community. For even more actionable content and powerful lessons, download the free companion app now. Just search for the Winners Club in the App Store or Google Play. For more information about the Winners Club and how to become part of our growing community, head to thewinnersclub.club. Now, back to the show.
Sorry, Paul's been telling me more about what happens when you go into a VR centre. That sounds amazing. Do you feel like you're falling?
Well, I didn't get the chance to play it, but I'm going to go back. I was just saying to James, they put you in these VR goggles. And if anyone's seen the new version of Jumanji, the film Jumanji, basically the concept is they they drop you into an island. So you put these VR goggles on and you obviously feel like you're falling. They drop you into the island, and there's different parts of the island, and you actually have to run and walk. So if you want to run, you run there and there. If you want to walk, you
walk.
You walk.
On the spot?
Yeah.
This is madness. This is madness. Anyway, right, gang. Elliot's flashing. What have you got for us, mate?
I wanted to say I was in that world of video games. I mean, I'm no gamer, but we back in about 10 years ago is where the real sort of movement started happening for that very quickly. I'll tell you about this. We used to code farm, and so in essence, we used to buy thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of copies of like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, and World of Warcraft, things like that. We used to buy pallet loads of those. And we used to have to open the boxes, strip out the codes, because the codes come on, sometimes they came on stickers, sometimes they came on a sheet. And then convert those into Excel format or scan and sell those to all the online retailers. Now, the two main players that we were literally supplying very early days were a company called Kinguin and G2A. Now, they're both huge sponsors in the esports world, and have become two of the biggest players and the online sellers of those as well. And we were very early doors, one of the biggest code farmers in the UK, in fact, probably in the world of Call of Duty, and supplying to those guys. And when we used to go to E3, which is the huge video games conference in LA every year, June, you've got they used to have the teams playing there all day, and in an incredible world, but. It was amazing that everybody said they were going to move to the sort of digital online within 2 years, and that was in sort of 2013, 2012. It still took a few years to do that, but I think we were possibly one of the companies that was helping to move everything onto online, because it was going from physical product to digital, and I had a big insight into that world and never realized how big that was. And even back then, Paul, they were sponsoring, not in the UK so much, but in different parts of the world, paying big money to some of the biggest players in that world. So yeah, an incredible world. But something you don't get insight into unless you step into it like you did. And I got to go into certain bars and things like that were in Eastern Europe, and we're quite a way behind the times in these esports sort of stores and things like you've been to. But yeah, such a huge world that we don't get to see, and not being a gamer. It was quite eye-opening for me, for sure. But yeah, interesting world, man. Interesting world, and huge money in that world as well.
Yeah, because so Call of Duty is a closed franchise, right? So what that means from a gaming perspective. So in theory, anybody, as long as you was good in reason, can go and work their way up the leagues in like a Fortnite or a FIFA or League of Legends. They can, providing can get a team together that's good, you can work your way up the leagues potentially, a bit like a traditional sport.
Right.
Call of Duty, because it's American, it operates like a franchise system would work in NFL or, in MLS or some of the American leagues. So I might be wording this slightly wrong, some of the technical stuff, because obviously I only was briefed on this yesterday, but to get to buy a franchise license. So effectively, the team that I'm potentially getting involved with, if we was to say, right, we want to build a Call of Duty team together and put that out, in order to compete in Call of Duty, we'd have to buy a franchise. To buy a franchise on a 5-year license, which gets you the right to compete in the championships for 5 years. So this goes to show the level of sponsorship that you could probably achieve. How much do you reckon it would be to buy that franchise license for 5 years? I'll give you a guess, James.
I'm going to say it's going to be a surprising amount of money. I would have said about £3.50, but I'm going to go $25,000.
$15 million.
Shut up.
$15 million.
No.
Yep. 15 million to buy a franchise to play as a team in the World Championships of a computer game.
I ask you this question, Paul Abercrombie. What the hell are we doing? Sat on Clubhouse, doing service-based businesses. Why have we not got a team? Let's get an Xbox.
Do you know we've struggled? So you've had conversations around sponsorship for podcasts. We've had conversations around sponsorships for what we do, Breakfast with Winners and the Crypto Podcast and various things, right? And it's like pushing shit uphill, isn't it? to be nice. I know we're over the watershed, but it is, isn't it? They're like difficult conversations to have with brands. Yeah. Unless you've really got an insight and a link into a brand, they're difficult conversations to have. There are brands throwing money at teams to a point where the teams can't grab it quick enough. Like it's ridiculously scary. So a brand of computers, you know Lenovo, the brand of like computers and monitors and stuff like that. So in an initial conversation, so if you're thinking of obviously you've got to know the right people, but like opening a training space for teams to come and train, the brands want to give you the equipment. They want the equipment in there. So it's not a question of, I've got to buy 10 PCs at $3,500, super duper PCs. Like HyperX, the company that make them, how many do you want? The conversations are, how many do you want and how much money do you want us to give you for the sponsorship? So it's not just, we'll give you kit. It's like, we'll give you kit and money.
Pay you.
And money. Kit and money. And it's like, so one of the conversations with this Lenovo, it's like, how many monitors do you want? We'll give you the monitors and we want to call it the Lenovo Arena. And we want to... so how much is that going to cost us a year? They're the conversations.
How do you put a price on that?
We want to. Like, so it's not like you're having to approach people and go, "Do you want to sponsor us?" It's like, yeah, we really want to be involved. How much do you want?
Wow,
it's crazy. Obviously, there's gonna be a balance, and it's gonna get like many businesses, it's going to become oversaturated, I'm sure, at some point. But at the moment, it's not. And there are brands just absolutely throwing money at esports teams at the moment for them to use their kit and their equipment. And, you know, mice and keyboard, this was another insight yesterday. So there are companies out there, and anybody that's into tech and gaming, probably this is like, yeah, we've known that for years. But to us old farts that are not, and like we've just about learned how to use Facebook Ads Manager, they'll customize their keyboards and their mice so that, you know, the ergonomics of the custom made mice for gamers so that they sit in their hands right, and so that it's just the right measurement for their fingers. And like it's like you're going to go and get a crash helmet made bespoke for you. They're getting mice and keyboard made bespoke for them, so that the spacing of the keys are exactly right for their fingers, and like that keyboard's bespoke to them. Crazy.
What? Well, if he said her son Cuba is a top 3% in the world Rocket League player. That's what you told me about.
Yes, this team they compete in Rocket League World Championships. Yeah, they're like in the Rocket. They got Rocket League. They're playing Rocket League players. So this is if he's not being paid. They're playing Rocket League players, $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month to be part of a Rocket League team, like retainers to be part of the team.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, when he first used to play Rocket League, I was like, he would like have rages and he'd talk in this language, and I had no idea. And then his dad did loads of research, and then he went to with his friend who he got into it, and his friend has a nephew or someone older, an uncle, and he was like, these boys are brilliant. And then they tracked them, and he was like, do you know that they're like top 3% because they're on champion or something? And then Cuba was like, this is what I want to do. And it was really hard mindset shift. I was like, this is what you want to do? Like, this is what you want to do? And he was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And it took us, like, I was like, this is what you want to do with your life? It's like, yes. And then as soon as he told me, like, what the success looked like, I was like, okay, so 2 years ago, we bought him all the gaming equipment. When we go away, we literally pack his gaming stuff in a little carry-on case for the airport. And he takes everything with him, and he dedicates, like, so much time to practicing, and it's really serious. I'm still on the outside, I don't really understand it, but it makes sense. So I was like, well, this can be your contingency plan, maybe, if you know, because we've got to move with the times, because like you said, Paul, this is a whole nother world. We bought Starlink because we live in a village. Our internet line is terrible, so we bought him for Christmas last year Starlink. That's what he wanted, the Elon Musk, so he could have a dedicated line.
So he's got satellite Wi-Fi from Elon Musk's spaceships.
Yeah, every month. Because he was saying the ping. He was like, the ping, because like you said with the screens, if the ping, which I think is to do with the speed in which he can see stuff, the latency. Look, Terry's jumping in.
At least one of you knows what you're talking about, Terry.
Yeah, the latency, it affects how well he performs.
No way.
Mum be like, does this make at the time he's 7, he's 9
he's
now.
Got his own dedicated internet now.
Yeah,
we've got a dedicated.
I've just
internet
told
now.
him. So so we're just moving with the times, because as parents we don't know, like you said, this is not my world. So he has to educate us, and we just have to trust that this is a good investment of his time.
So
really.
this team that I'm speaking to, or basically they approached me as to take a form of investment, a little bit of money and some equity, and help them structure out a commercial team, so that basically, because
you're gonna become like the Alex Ferguson of esports.
No, I'm not. Obviously, I know nothing about gaming. Like, you know, I know a little bit, but I don't know much about gaming. But I do know how to negotiate a contract and how to build a team. So that's what they want the skill from me, is to help out build the commercial team, and start having some of these conversations with brands. Basically, they want me to go in and extract the money from the brands as quickly as possible.
Be the grown up in the room.
Yeah,
so they can carry on playing.
Correct.
Yeah,
basically, you're right. Yeah. You know, rather than rolling out the 18-year-old to go and sit at a boardroom table with Lenovo, kick Paul through the door.
Yeah. Paul will do it.
Yeah. So that's the idea, which makes perfect business sense. And I the guy that runs this team, through a charity that I'm involved with, I know of them, and we've got connections. So it's not like they've just approached me cold. We've got connections. Not quite a family friend, but it's like an extended network that I'm part of. So, but anyway, to cut long story short, they're paying players, and again, like I say, some of these are 16, 17, 18 years old. They're paying players the salaries that they pay for their teams at the moment, and they compete across Rocket League, Fortnite, and FIFA. So, and the team has got like, I think a Rocket League team might have 2 people in it, or I think it's 2, and plus some subs. They have like a team manager attached to that Rocket League team. They'll have a coach attached to it, like people coach players. Ridiculous, but their salaries are about 200 grand, so a year that get paid to players. So if you think of kids leaving school at 16, whilst we might not think it's a viable career path, and we might not be like, right, do you know what? It's not quite. What job can you leave school at 16 and go and get £4,000 a month?
Yeah, not very many.
So, and I'll tell you what, actually, we'll make it nice and sweet for you. We'll pay you in crypto, so you haven't got to pay any tax.
Is that what they're doing as well?
So it's just a different way. They've got a scouting network. The team has got a scouting network of about 7 scouts that are out there going into gaming centres, these gaming cafes and gaming centres, going in there and keeping an eye. They'll pay commissions. So they'll go and speak to the owner of the gaming cafe, and they'll say, look, we're really on the lookout for players. We'll pay you a commission when you spot stuff. And they'll get phone calls from people in the gaming cafes, and we're like, we've got a kid that comes into the gaming cafe over in Wandsworth who's really, really good at a Rocket League or FIFA. You know, you might want to come and take a look at him, and they'll go down and look at him like they would like a trial. It's crazy.
How do you?
It's a crazy world.
Wow, but I guess it's crazy through the eyes of old people.
Yes.
Like, this is going to be their new reality. It's like the internet probably looked crazy to our mums and dads when we had, do you remember the first ever like Nokia phone, and everyone's got excited about snaking because you could change the cover on a 5210. Our mums and dads are probably looking, going, why are these like getting so hyped about this stuff? But we're just going through it now, aren't we, I guess, ourselves. How do you, because you've got sporty kids, haven't you, who are, you know, a couple of your kids are really like decent at football and stuff. How, as a parent, if they find, like in Terry and Iffy's instance, where Cuba's like really, really good, how as a parent do you help? Because you stand on the sidelines come sunshine, rain, hailstones, or if it's wet, you're probably sitting in the car because you're not that way inclined. But you're on the touchline giving advice to your daughter about goalkeeping, like positioning and all the rest of it. How would you parent and show encouragement to a gaming kid?
I don't know the answer to that.
How do you do it?
You've got to recognise their skill, haven't you?
Yeah.
If they've got a skill.
I'll tell you what we do. We basically, how we support him is by leaving him alone and closing the door and getting off the internet. That's how we help him. That's what we do. Don't come in, slide the food into the room, give him cold apple juice, and leave him alone. And when he rages, because he goes like he has like these and it's scary. Like he's like, this player's rubbish. He's come on and he's only this level. All we do now is we just back away. We just back away.
Do you ever did to start with them was like you or Terry like watching over his shoulder going, oh, you done a good kick there, and he was like, just like seriously, dudes, get out. You're too old.
Good kick. Do you know what Rocket League is?
I imagine
do that. We used to do that a lot. We're like, oh, that's a good goal. How did you do that? And he's like, oh, you've got to do this, Daddy. You've got to fly up and you've got to do this. And there's different angles and stuff like that. But then he surpassed me. And then he just went on to next levels. I think he's some champion 3 or something like that. He's going to be grand champion soon. But what he does now, what do they say in Rocket League? They've got this thing. What do they say? They've got like this word for like noobs or something, and I don't know. I can't remember. But if he plays against people that are really like a few levels below him and they can't pass and they can't do anything, then he gets annoyed, and he's like, and that's managing his emotions is a real big thing. Because if you've got if you're playing like the 2v2, then you're 50% of the team. So if you've got a bad player, you've got to carry him, and you've got to be that good that you can carry the bad guy and still win the game, so that you don't lose your ranking. If you do a ranking game, you can drop points or add points. So depending on who you get, if he gets a rubbish player, then he has to he goes God mode and just carries
God mode.
He carries the player and still wins the game. But if he gets a totally rubbish player, he's like, I can't do it, and you forfeit the game and you lose points. So I'm like, you have to manage your emotions, Cuba, because you're not always going to get good. You're going to get people of varying skills and abilities, and you just have to be that good, so good that no matter who you get, you can carry them and still win. So that's his goal.
Yeah, and we've had to really support him with that emotional side. And one of his friends who played with him, his parents have stopped him playing because he wasn't able to, this little blonde boy would just have this red face from raging. So there is a level of like mental health as well that we have to, but he's not in control of who he plays, and it's been really hard as a parent. Like sometimes I just had to walk away, and I'm like, Terry, you're gonna have to do something. We don't know whether to hug him, whether to cheer from him, but what I found is just close the door and he'll come out after and then relive the whole game and tell us it, and we all try and understand what he's saying. So yeah, it's an interesting world to be in right now. Thanks, guys.
I think you'd have to recognise, so the first step I would say is us as adults recognising that there's actually some skill in it and they're quite good at it. If you recognise that, then you can probably try take steps towards trying to support it, isn't it? Probably the biggest barrier is like, it's just a computer game. But there's people making extremely good livings out of playing very good living. I won't tell you who, I won't say a name, but there's conversations going on. You've got Premiership footballers, substantial Premiership footballers, wanting to become brand ambassadors to esports teams. And when I say wanting, it's like, we'll pay you to do it, and we'll get a share, and we'll pay you like a buy-in to be part of it, and we want a percentage of sponsorship revenue that we bring into the team and stuff like that, because they're recognizing the benefits of how they can bridge the gap between their sort of physical sports world with sponsorship, and then the gaming world.
Wasn't David Beckham he's got like a very proactive, like an Inter Miami esports team,
so he done that exact deal. So he was obviously well ahead of the time, but he done that a couple of years ago. So his particular team, he bought into the team with some cash, not a lot of cash, but some cash, and then basically attached himself to the team as a brand ambassador, and then went and leveraged his relationship with sponsors and bought a hell of a lot of sponsorship revenue into the team, and then took a percentage of the upside of the team. So it's
He owns New Guild Esports.
Yeah.
Wow, this is just fascinating, isn't it?
But he's only a part owner, so there's actually people that own the team. So he done that commercial deal where he bought into the team, like I said, with some money, then bought sponsorship in and leveraged his relationship. But there's other footballers that are actively out there, like, how much do we pay you to do this? It's like those are the sorts of conversations.
What, approaching the digital team managers saying, like, I want to be involved?
Yeah, so there's players, again, I'll tell you off microphone, but there's
who approached the guys that you're looking at work with?
So there's a player that will play in the World Cup for England.
No, mute the mic quick and just tell me.
I'll tell you after. There's a player that will play in the World Cup for England that is in conversation to become a brand ambassador.
Do you watch him regularly at your ground?
No.
Okay, I thought it was Harry Kane. Okay, fine.
No. He plays for a team that I would not watch if somebody paid me.
Okay. So he's either Arsenal or he's West Ham.
But I might have to be in a few weeks. I might have to be friendly to his agent.
That would be interesting. Can you do it? Can you rise above it for the greater good?
But it's just
New world.
It's a whole market that you don't even know exists. It's like if somebody said to you, do you know what? For the far past, do you know this thing called the internet exists? You're like, what?
Yeah, it's mad. But again, it's actually sort of bringing it back to sort of the subject of the sort of rooms that we normally cover. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because we, as middle-aged dads who run real world businesses, you disregard it. It's like there's kids playing computers. No, it's not. It's a multi-billion-pound industry with kids probably out earning us playing games.
So here's the gap, though, and this is obviously through education, which we know anyway. But so they're really good. So the guys that I've met are really good at gaming. They understand the gaming world really well. They've got no idea what business is.
Yeah.
So they got no idea how to close off those conversations, how to
do those brand deals,
get a brand deal across the line, how to get a lease for an office across the line, how to negotiate a lease. Like they was about to go into a lease for an office. He's like in and around Old Street, and I'm like, okay, how much rent free period you got? Well, like, what? We get a rent free period? I'm like, yeah. Like, no. We pay they've said the rent is 52 grand a year. We'll just pay the 52 grand. It's like, no, you'll get, if you're signing a 5-year lease, I tell you what, tell them you want to take a 10-year lease and we'll try and get a 5-year rent free period. You know, it's like, and you won't get that, but you'll start the conversations like that. And then you'll probably settle at like 2 years or 3 years or something along that. So they just,
we're having conversations this morning going, that old guy, he knows some stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, but they don't know so they know the gaming world, but they don't know like the commercial reality of how to operate a business in any way.
That's a powerful combo, though, isn't it? If you've got that level of talent and focus in their area, and what you can bring to the party from an old man's perspective. Sub 40.
Have to get me a disabled bay outside the office.
Get his Zimmer frame, the golden Zimmer frame. Paul's coming in, everybody. Get the Stanner stair lift on the go. Talked about lifts earlier. It's all come full circle. Good morning, everyone. We're just going to quickly sort of rehash where we're at in this conversation, just in case you've joined us. We're now currently talking about esports gaming. God knows how we got into this conversation, quite frankly. But yeah, we've started off with wins of the week. We were waiting for a guest. Unfortunately, the guest has not arrived and is not going to be arriving. We don't know what's happened to the guest. Hopefully, he's all right, but we can't get hold of anybody. And yes, so now we're carrying on the conversation, and it ended up accidentally getting into a chat about Paul had a very interesting day yesterday because he's been approached to become sort of like involved in an esports team, and he's having to learn a completely new world which he didn't know existed, and I still can't believe it exists, quite frankly. So that's the conversation that we're having. But do you know what, for the last 20, let's chuck it back to you, a beautiful bunch tuned in. So we'll kick it back off to wins of the week. So if you have had a win this week, we'd love to hear it. Give us a flash of the mic if you'd like to share your win of the week, or maybe a learning or a lesson that you've had this week. Feel good Friday vibes, wins of the week. We will take anyone that's on stage. Give us a flash of the mic if you'd like to contribute to the conversation. Feel free to do so. And also, if you're in the audience, we'll come to Jen Lou in a sec. If you're in the audience, and maybe you've never come up on stage before, please feel free to do so. All we say is that you've got to have your bio filled in, and there needs to be a link on it, so we can either go and find you on, Instagram or Twitter. One of those places, just to make sure, because there's loads of bots floating about in the clubhouse space now. We want to make sure we're only bringing real people onto the stage. So please feel free to put your hand up if you'd like to. You can click the hand raise button in the bottom right-hand corner and you can come on stage. But please only do so if you're going to come and share one of your wins of the week. No point coming up and just sitting on the stage, quite frankly. So, share your wins of the week. But before we get anyone from the audience, let's go to our beautiful pal, Jennifer Louise, a.k.a. Jen Lou. What's your win of the week, my lovely?
Oh, thanks, guys. I think mine is the win of a bloody lifetime, quite frankly.
Oh.
In the pandemic, my son, or the second lockdown, my son had a bit of a really bad time of things, and bless him, went down a path that he really didn't need to go down, but clearly he did, because he needed to learn some lessons. And on Monday, I was with the beautiful Beju in Georgia, and we was doing a bit of a mastermind, and I got a text message asking, well, he didn't ask, he said, "You're lucky I'm coming home." So my son has gone off, he's done the deeper work, he's done the stuff that boys and men find really, really difficult, and he's turning his life around, and he is coming home to live with mummy again, For a very short period, we're going to buy him a house and get him back out again as quickly as possible. But I'm really, really super happy that he is now healing and happy again. And yeah, it is a win of the absolute bloody lifetime.
So your boy's coming back. I like the fact that you're so excited that he's coming back. I also like that you're preemptively getting him back out the front door as quickly as he comes through the front door. Very, very clever.
Yeah. Oh, I think that would be good for him. He wants to buy a do-up house, and so I'm going to buy one with him and then get him out and get him working towards something which I think is going to be really key